My background is a little different. My background is in public health. I went to San Francisco State, but I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and used to work for the Department of Public Health, doing grant management as well, focusing also in Bayview, Hunters Point, on public health prevention efforts. I work for the San Francisco Department of Environment, Environmental Justice Program. We got started about 8 years ago. We are primarily a grants program, and we mostly work in Bayview, Hunters Point, and Portrero Hill neighborhoods. About 10 years ago, San Francisco got some money from PG&E through their deregulation efforts, about $10 million. There was a city process involved to see what to do with the funds, and it was decided that they would start a grant program to focus on the two neighborhoods that were greatest, that had the greatest impact from the two power plants, that being Bayview, Hunters Point, and Portrero. It's a kind of fairly new concept, environmental justice, in that people hadn't thought of it before as an injustice. It was just power plants or sewage treatment facilities like we're going to talk about today, or toxic dump sites happen to always be near people who were mostly of color, mostly poor, disenfranchised. They weren't the ones living in the best of housing. The Naval Shipyard is still partly owned by the the Navy, and it's a federal land, and the city doesn't have any jurisdiction over the federal land, so we can't necessarily make them do anything. Just recently, the Navy transferred over Parcel A to the city, and so the city does have jurisdiction or control over that land. As you might have read or heard, they are planning to revitalize the land. Lennar Corporation is the master planner. They have some amazing plans set forth for the property. They're trying to get the 49ers new football stadium built there. They have over 10,000 new homes scheduled to be built. Over 300 acres of parks are scheduled. They also plan to build the homes to LEED standards. They have a sustainability plan. They plan to provide thousands of permanent jobs. So that part of the naval yard that San Francisco owns, they have great plans for it right now. It's kind of really out of our hand, and so I think what the Navy does with the EPA is they try to work with the citizens in that committee through advisory committees and other committees. There are several committees, and they try to inform the public, about everything that's going on there, and all their efforts to clean up the land to the standards that they have set. One of the most active kind of voices over there has been Green Action. They were a group that go out and get mothers out, and they testified before the city. They testified, I believe, before the ISO, let folks know what's going on. They do outreach in the community. They really try to educate the community about what's going on, and if they feel there's been injustices, they let people know about that as well. We've also done work with the Bayview Hunters Point Health and Environmental Resource Center, which is HERC. They're an asthma-focused group. Less on the outreach, but more so on kind of helping the community, educate them about the effects of asthma and how they can kind of control asthma and the efforts they've taken there. They are definitely were effective in getting the word out. And they got on PG&E's list to talk to. I mean, PG&E listened to them as well. So I want to say, yes, I believe they were effective. I think it also helped that the city joined with them in their efforts. I'm not saying that the city led these efforts at all, but the city definitely wanted to get rid of the dirty power plants as well, once they started to listen to these residents and pay attention to their concerns. So yes, I think they were effective. PG&E is responsible for decommissioning the power plant. It closed a few years ago, and they're also responsible for cleaning up the power plant site to residential standards. Currently, they are being overseen by the DTSC, which is a state agency. There are also local community groups that are kind of watching their every move to make sure that they clean up the site to residential standards as they said that they would. Our department has assisted some of those local groups in their efforts through grants over the years to kind of help get the word out about what some of the concerns of the community were and help people get the word out. That's primarily what some of our grants have helped to do. The city is very interested in seeing the Portrero Hill power plant close also. Just recently, the mayor sent a letter to the California Independent Systems Operator requesting that they close the Portrero Hill power plant. And the goal is to close it by the end of 2010. I think it's a very ambitious goal. But the city is dedicated to helping to scale down some of the problems that have affected those two neighborhoods. The reality is that that area has been, burdened by these power plants and other issues in that area. And so that letter just came out this month, and it outlines San Francisco's electric reliability plan and how, they can rely, or rather how they have enough power so that they don't need to use the Portrero Hill power plant. Because the city can't in and of itself just shut down a power plant because it wants to. We need permission from the Cal ISO. And so once they get permission, just like in the Bayview Hunters Point case, once they gave permission, once they saw that we had adequate power to power the city in the case of its greatest need, then they gave permission. And so we hope the same thing will happen with Portrero Hill, and think that it will happen soon.